So I'm all ready to go for this watercolour demo. Straight into this one then. What we've got here is a sheet of watercolour paper. Get a bit closer in here. What we've got here is a sketch. Now if you want to sketch this in yourself, you can take a screenshot, a screen grab, if you like, of the actual piece of paper that you're working on. Feel free to. Now I have been out and about today because the snow is absolutely beautiful out there. It really is lovely out there today. I do like a nice bit of snow. I'm sure snow has its lovers and haters, but personally I'm quite a fan. So I've sketched this in. It's going to be a little vignette, probably about 30 to 40 minutes painting time here, folks. So grab yourself a coffee, get yourself something to keep warm, and we're going to paint a little winter bridge. Now this is a little place in a village I used to live in Derbyshire, a little village called Langworth, tiny little village, and there's a lovely little footbridge. The bridge is very small, it's tiny, and it's just about dropped down, but there's lots of trees and things around. So I want to paint a little wintry scene. It's got to be a snow scene, come on, it's got to be a snow scene today, because I've just got to look out my window and it's absolutely crammed with deep snow, and it is lovely and deep snow today. I've really enjoyed it, folks, because it doesn't happen often enough, does it? So what we've got here is the materials what I'll be using, and the brushes I'll be using will be the main brushes that will run kind of in the background are going to be these three. Now these are my Super Point brushes. Again, these are my sort of standard brushes. At the minute there's 15% off of Watercolour TV, so enter code SPRING23 as you check out and you get 15% off. If you buy these from me as well, you also get 15% off until the 18th of March 23. You get a free video on how to do things with them, painting things obviously. So I've squirted a selection of my colours here. There's 14 colours in the natural range, all manufactured by the SAA, designed by me. Beautiful quality brushes and paints as well. So I've got all 14, but I'm not going to use all of them. We'll sort of use them as we go. I think that's the best thing to say here, in my personal opinion. So I'm going to use the large Super Point brush, nice and clean. Make sure things are nice and clean here. And very, very simply, what I want to do here is I want to wet just the top section of this page here, okay? So clean water. I'm going to wet it all down. Is it me or is it moist? Wet it down. Just going to bring it down slightly over those hills, a little bit over them there hills. A couple of times, couple of coats of water. Beautiful. Bring it in. Now I think personally, because it's a small picture, I think I'm going to use a size 10 brush. They've got kitchen paper here, loitering in the background. And what we're going to do is take a little bit of natural red. I want to get a bit of warmth in this, a bit of natural red. Beautiful, beautiful colour. Get a bit of red on there, and what we'll do is we'll twist a bit of warm colour in the sky. Who says a snow scene can't be warm? Stick some warm colours in. Beautiful. Nice bit of red. Now red's really good if you use salt. What? Did I hear you right? What? Just thought I'd throw that one out there. If you use a bit of salt, what? Then red works. Forget about. Forget a bit of falling snow. Talking nonsense here. Clean your brush, wipe it dry. And then we'll sort of fade that into the distant hills. Now what we'll do here is we'll take another colour, and this colour is going to be natural violet. Natural violet. Beautiful colour. Beautiful. Natural violet on the tissue there. Size 10 brush or medium Super Point. We're going to twist it in. We're going to, and what that'll do is that'll give us a little bit of extra colour coming through. Now it's nice to mix that with the red, just a little hint here. I'm not going to fill the page here. We have a little bit of a soft thing going off here. Beautiful. Bring it in. Roll the brush into the reds. That lovely kind of wintry evening or morning sky, you know, anything goes. Doesn't really matter, does it? And we'll get plenty of colour around that tree. That'll be nice. I love the colours, they're beautiful. If I dry the brush off a little bit, I can just encourage the paint to move. The snow's coming down decent I can't turn the cameras the other way without causing any chaos here, folks, but if you could see, yeah, it's really coming down nice. I wasn't going to do snow today because it's currently the 9th of March 2023 here if you're watching this after the live event, and yeah, it's the first snow we've had for a long time. Now I've got some table salt here in my fingers, a little bit of table salt. I want to sprinkle it on. It might not do anything, and I'm going to sprinkle it on because what it can sometimes do is leave a bit of snowflakes. It tends to work better on red than it will on the violet, I'll be honest with you, but we'll pop some on and we'll see what it does. It might do nothing, it might do something. It sort of draws the paint out of the colour, but only on certain colours will this work. So I'm going to pop a bit of salt. You can probably make it out there if you get close in. It's not doing anything just yet. Just give it time to do it. Just give it time to do its thing. We'll leave that and we'll paint in the little stream at the bottom next, okay? So we'll do the stream, which was lovely and dark. It was really dark against the snow today when I got the images, when I was sort of out and about. But I'll start off by wetting the water. What? Because you can't beat wet water, can you? We'll wet it. Now, we've got some special Matthew Palmer watercolour water coming out very soon. And it's going to be on a bit of a flash sale. So you can only buy it for one day. And it's being released on the 1st of April 2023. And it's Matthew Palmer's watercolour water. It stays wetter longer. So if you want to get hold of them, the limited edition, as in there's going to be 0 bottles available. Check it out. Now I've got to make this clear, folks. What I'm doing here is a watercolour demo. This is not a watercolour. Oh, that snow's working. That snow's working. I'm going to show it in a minute. I've got goosebumps. That's because it's bloody freezing in here. I've got a little bit of red. Now I'm doing this horizontal. Stick it in there. Put it in there. And then we'll get some of that violet. Exactly the same colours that you've done from the sky. We'll go right under the bridge. And I'll take 4 bottles of that water. Bring it in. Beautiful. I'll be honest with you, any excuse to paint a snow scene. I just love painting snow. But look how I've matched the colours. I've matched the colours from the sky to water. And that's kind of important to do here because we need that continuity. That's a big word for a Derbyshire lad. Continuity. But you can see what the salt is doing. I'm going to add a little bit of darkness. We'll get a bit closer in because we can do that. A little bit of darkness is going to creep in. And what we'll do is we'll take some natural grey. Let's get the palette on the job. There it is. Natural grey. Now this is the one colour, folks. This colour, natural grey, you need to invest. How many people in the chat do actually use natural grey? It is an absolute belcher of a colour, but there's natural grey. Beautiful colour. Really important is the shadows. Everything's got shadows. You can see the shadows in my fingers. See them in the double chin. Look at the grey shadow under there. Look at this darkness back here in this pinball machine. It's just everywhere. Shadows are so important, folks. But on this picture at this stage, we need to drop in a little bit of grey. Pop it down that edge. Keep the lines nice and horizontal. We'll go under the arch just a little bit. Beautiful. Get some good strong stuff in here. I'm using a size 10 brush or a medium super point brush with a tube of natural grey. You get 50 shades of grey with each tube. It's been proven by me, nobody else. Clean it just on the tissue. This is like watching paint dry, isn't it? What we'll do is we'll bring it across. Bring it across, horizontal. Look at that, beautiful. That shadow is gorgeous. It really adds depth. And let's just take a moment. Let's have a moment to enjoy what the salt has created. It's worked nice on natural violet. It's worked nice on the pink or natural red. And the snowflakes that are coming down are huge. Huge. So that's really effective, isn't it? Now that needs just a little teeny weeny bit of time to dry before I can do anything else. So while that's drying off, folks, what I'd like to do is just mention a little bit about what's coming up on Sunday. We have pretty much every single weekend we have a live virtual, I love that salt, works really well, you can't see it so well there, but it works really well. We've got a live virtual watercolour workshop coming up this Sunday, which, as I'm sat here live, as I live and breathe, as I'm sat here live on the 9th of March, it's the 12th, but there's one pretty much every single weekend. This is the one coming up. We're painting a colourful row of beach huts by the sand and sea in watercolours. It's not a demo, this is the actual step-by-step workshop, which means you can watch it live or at any time after. And once you've bought it for £10, yes, you heard that right, in 2023, we're living in a crisis where you can't even buy a loaf of bread for £10. Not quite that bad, is it? But these are 10 quid. We've been doing these for 3 years, very quickly, because this is almost dry. Not quite, but it's getting there. I've got to brush the salt off, you see. How to book on the website. Have a look at the top of the website screen. If I scroll to the top of the website screen, you can see here it's flashing a book now button. If I hover over it, you can see it flashing, and that'll be the date of the up and coming one as you're watching this live. So currently, as I'm filming this, it's on the 12th of March. Click it, that'll take you to the page with all the information. And look, it's £10. You can watch it live, you can watch it at any time, and all you need is 3 very basic colours. You want some red, so this is natural red, you might want crimson. You want some yellow, natural yellow light, or you might have cadmium yellow. You want some blue, bit of blue. You want a bit of blue. The blue we've got here is natural blue, which could be French ultramarine or cobalt blue. We've got a handful of spaces left for this workshop, and you want 3 brushes, which is going to be a 10 round brush, or in this case a medium super point. You want a small brush, which in this case is a 5 or 6 or a small super point, and a large brush of some kind. This one's a 20 or a large super point brush. That's it, and a bit of paper, and you will produce a painting in very steady, slow steps. We don't rush through these things. These are very steady. Lots of people here, I'm pretty sure, do actually take part in these live workshops. I think that's probably, it's still not quite there. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab this heat gun or hair dryer. It's a heat gun, and I'm going to use this to dry the picture. Now what will happen here, folks, is the sound will go quiet because the microphone will treat it as background noise. So I'm just going to give this a quick blast. Talk amongst yourselves. I think that'll do, to be fair. So I was giving it a quick blast. I just use one of these heat guns, but a hair dryer is good. I just pop it in the radiator, anything goes. Nice and dry. That salt has worked lovely. So I'll brush the salt away here. And my next thing is to paint in these hills. Now for this, I'm not going to use violet. I'm going to use grey. I've got the grey here. Size 10 would be a great brush for this. So we've got some natural grey. Beautiful. Mix it together. And what we'll do is we'll paint in the background hills at this point, the distant hills. And we're going to go straight across. You can see the paper's dry out. You can see I've also brushed the salt away. We'll pop those in right through the back of that tree. Beautiful. Clean the brush on the tissue. And the tissue will allow me to blend away and make sure it completely disappears off. That's very important. And because I'm painting a bit of a vignette here as well, it's also important that I lightly soften these edges as well, because I don't want to see any hard lines necessarily. So that's looking good. And that is ready to add a few more shadows into this foreground. Now, it's quite important to push those background hills away and bring the foreground ones forward, okay? So to do this, I'm actually going to be using violet for this. So I am moving from the grey into the violet. You can see there's a big difference between the two. So quite important that we get that right. Not too strong for the colour though. And very, very simply, I want to rotate the board around here. And I want to work at the back of this bridge, this cottage. So I want to paint in. In fact, we'll get a bit closer in, we can zoom in and get a bit closer in here. So working up here. Violet has a nasty habit of staining, so just be a little bit speedy at putting the violet on, folks, for me if you can. Clean brush, a couple of taps, and then we'll get water to fade this thing into the distant grey. So that works quite well. I'm actually going to drop in a little bit of colour, just running across the back of these this bridge, because I think I'd like to get a bit of snow on there, you know. So a little bit of colour, just, I mean, it makes sense to, don't it? So a little bit of colour just across the top of the bridge would be perfect. And then if it's hard, clean the brush, soften it, blend it in. Turn that the right way. That was quite nice. You've got that distant thing going off there, lovely. And then I'm just going to make sure things blend in. We'll pop some more work in this. Let's get in close to these areas, these kind of banking. That snow's worked really well, hasn't it, on that falling sky effect there. So really quite pleased with that. That has really come together well. It has. And I just want to basically add a little bit of violet onto these distant sort of mid-ground, aren't they, I suppose. Now, like I say, violet does tend to stain, so you want to be pretty quick at blending this out, folks, all right? Bit of water. Inspired by nature today, because we are proper in the snowy zone here, which is good. Bit of water. And just blend it all in. Keep refreshing the brush, because all you're doing is you're dragging the colour. So if you keep that brush refreshed, it's a good way to actually get a cleaner blend with your violet. Beautiful colour, love it. Natural violet is what I'm using, in case anyone's not sure. Bring it in. Clean brush, couple of quick taps. And just make sure that all fades in. It's got a slight evening vibe, and the reason I put red in my sky, because I know most crimsony reds tend to work well with salt, so it really depends on you. But if you're going to use the salt effect, a few things to bear in mind. One of them is to practice with the colour. Don't leap straight in if the colour's not right, you know, so do have a little bit of practice at the colour. Think about that. And then we'll have just one sneaking up just here, I think. Clean brush. Look at that piece of tissue. I'm giving that away on the workshop. A little bit up there just to add a bit of presence, but that's really effective. That's probably, it's not quite dry, just a bit of a heat gunner thing going up here. Make sure things are nice and dry here, folks. Perfect. Because I want to create a separation there, so I'm going to jump back to the grey here. Turn the board around. That should be dry enough now to go in with a little bit of separation between the two areas on the tissue. Bit of water. That is giving me a nice little bit of depth. I'm going to use the same grey, just briefly, to add a little bit of darkness. Just, again, sneaking at the back of that. I feel I could really get some darkness down there. So I'm back to grey, because why am I using grey, not violet? Well, because grey is more of a distant colour, natural grey. And don't get mixed up with using different greys, because you could easily make a mistake by using the likes of Payne's grey and things. It's just too dark. It's just way too dark. So think about the colour and just basically blend it all in, soften it all together. I want to get a bit of that grey sneaking in just down here, just on this little corner here, all around that bridge, because that's going to really throw it all the way into it, push it all back. Lovely. And again, I've run out of grey, that brush is quite thirsty. I'll get a bit more colour. A few little bits in these corners would be nice, just from the right in these little gaps here for the snow. The grey won't stain the paper as much as the violet, so you can be a little bit more relaxed with the grey. Bit of water, soften it all in. I'm working very quick on this because it's a demo. Just kind of bear that in mind. If you want to work at a steady pace on a painting with me, that's where you want to go for one of those live virtual watercolour workshops, or check out Watercolour TV, because Watercolour TV is absolutely rammed with step-by-step tuition. It's a membership or a subscription based service. I reckon a lot of you people watching this demo are going to be Watercolour TV members. If you are, do let me know in the comments. I'd love to know if you remember. It's always good. We've got some horizontal lines in the water here. And Watercolour TV is a 15-year history of watercolour video on demand. So loads of content to enjoy, worksheets, weekly watercolour workouts are on there as well. So every single week there's a new thing to do and enjoy on Watercolour TV. Loving all this, loving all the moulds and the shapes that we're creating here. Lots of you are members, but there's a few different ways of becoming a member. You can be a lifetime member, you can be a yearly member, you can be an annual member as well. So there's lots of different ways to have a membership for Watercolour TV. So thank you to those people that are subscribers, members. And pop in a few little bits of added texture. So we have a blank canvas of snow there now, which means we're ready for adding something a bit more crisp sneaking in. Lovely. Very quick dry, very quick blast with the dry, folks. While it's drying off, just going to use this. I'm just going to pop this on screen, just tell you to get yourself booked in for this. This is the workshop that's happening this weekend. There's one every weekend pretty much, but as I'm filming this, it's on the 12th of March, so do get your bookings in place if you've not had a chance to already. Hair dryer going in. You might see me giving that a rub. What? You what? Basically just one of those things. It's kind of making sure the paper's flat, making sure it's dry. Bit of kitchen paper here is going to be good for this. And I just want to get a bit of a background colour on the bridge, and then we're going to start to go into that high level of detail on this picture. So do stick around. We've got a size 6 brush here. What colour is the bridge going to be? I've got a lovely colour called Natural Yellow, which is a lovely sandy colour. I've also got on the edge of the palette a couple of skin tones, dark skin tone, light skin tone. The dark skin tones are nice, almost like a red brick when it's diluted. Slight terracotta vibe. We've also got natural grey as well, so we've got 3 colours. In actual fact, I'll start with the grey, because what I want to do with the bridge, we'll get close into this, I want to get a little bit of sort of darkness underneath here to represent a bit of settled snow kind of thing. So it's grey first on the brush, leaving a few white bits here and there should you wish. You don't have to, but it's just there. And also we're going to turn this thing around, get some darkness where it meets the snow, of course, the banking. And then we'll go straight into some of those other colours. So I've got that yellow, the sandy colour, natural yellow, beautiful colour. We'll get some of that in there. Put that in there, and that'll mix in with the grey quite nicely. You've not got to worry about the grey because it does actually wash away quite easily. That little bit of warm colour is like a skin tone dark. There you go, you see it better now, can't you? off camera then. Beautiful. There's the yellow. Love the yellow. Really nice warm colour. Make sure you don't get any yellow on your snow for obvious reasons. There's now worse, is there? Bring it in. Bring it in. Stay with me. You can smell the fear. It's really warm in the studio. I've got the heating pumping out. And we have a bit of grey in there, so that's giving me a nice background there on the bridge. Got a nice bit of interesting colour starting to sneak through on there, which is what we want, which is what we're interested in. So it's using the skin tone, using the yellow, using the grey. And I will be adding some detail to that area, which I'm sure you know. But let's move on to the tree. What we have here is a Matthew Palmer tree and texture brush. I'm going to clean it really well in the water pot there. This one being the smallest of the tree brushes. In fact, I might even use the medium one. Look at the expense. We'll use that one. Give it a good clean. Probably got some green paint on it from a previous adventure. There you go, that's the medium size one. That's the most popular one. Medium tree and texture brush. What I want though here, probably some of that dark skin would be nice. A little bit stronger than the one we used actually. Dark skin, maybe mixed with a bit of grey. Good old stipple. Slow motion, we can do slow motion. Back to normal speed, and then what we'll do is give it a bit of a tap on tissue, so you've got a dry brush. What's a dry brush? Opposite of a wet one. What I want to do here is use the tall hairs of that brush and add some very fine branches, like a mist almost to the tree. You can kind of works either way, out or in. The little fine branches that you get on these wintry trees. Little wispy branches, and then I always think it's nice to stipple in a few leftover leaf. Don't want too much of that because it's meant to be a wintry scene, but a little bit of leaf just sneaking in. We'll pop branches in later, so you can see how effective that tree and texture brush actually is. Now at the minute, up until the 18th of March 2023, there's 15% off Watercolour TV Art Shop if you enter code SPRING23. So take advantage. We'll come back to the tree once it's had a bit of time to dry. Looking good. Happy with that. So straight from the palette, nice and dark, into the picture. We've got that nice colour coming through. It's all good stuff. And we're going to use the small tree brush. Similar colour. We're going to have the grey and the dark skin. Quite strong, quite deep colour. Bit of tissue just to remove any excess. So this is the small one. It's basically half the size of the medium one, okay? You can get a set of these, by the way. Here I've got a piece of scrap paper. It's actually a piece of Bockingford. It was a little sample that I got sent by somebody, or it was given at an art show. I've got a rough edge where I've ripped it. You can see that. A ripped edge. I'm going to use that edge to add some foliage. Some what? Some foliage. Get it in there. I'm going to stipple some foliage in. And we can have as much or as little as we wish with this foliage, working up the side of the So it's like a little bush kind of thing. And just make sure there's nothing on the back of the card, because it does tend to get a bit messy otherwise. Also pop a line just at the side there. Stipple in that corner. A little bit of a wintry bush, even just coming across the top of the bridge a little bit would be quite effective, I think. Like that. So you've got that option of using your number 6 brush as well, if you just need to tidy things up a little bit. If the card wasn't too, you know, precise as you wanted it to be, but you can tidy up. I would pop in some snow on there as well. And these super point brushes are lovely for doing little bits of, you know, I need to get my little fence posts in. Gives a lovely sense of scale, don't it? Like so. Similar thing over here. Same colour, same piece of paper. Don't want too much over this side, I don't think. Pop that in there. There you go. And then just a few little bits in the snow, like just little bits of things poking out the snow, like you'd expect to see. Like sort of working between some of those areas that you've created. Let's come back a little bit with the camera. I also like to use this brush upside down. You what? Use it upside down. So it's putting the tall hairs to the bottom, and I like to use this on the edge of the water. So the tall hairs are at the bottom now, actually in contact with the paper, and it gives you a nice edge. Nice dark edge here along the water line. Like so. So you can see why I've done that, like a little bit of earth that's kind of poking out the earth, bit of earth that's poking out the snow. Because it's got a tall, if you put the writing to the top, it's got a tall hair and a short hair. I'm using the short hair for that. And then we'll go in on this one and just pop a little bit, stick a bit down there, son. Put it there. Beautiful. Pop it on. All works well, don't it? Nice. Just take that off the edge of the vinaigrette. What? I'm also going to use that brush as well, actually, to work in some distant fields. If I coat the brush in the palette on both sides, like so, and if we use this edge here to actually paint in some distant little hedgerows, not too many of these. You can see that line of distant fields or whatever you decide they're going to be over there as well. It'd be nice to do one of them. So like a steam train going by, that noise. Jug, 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 jug. Just tap it across the picture there. You can see we've got those couple lines. Now what I'd do here is use the size 6 brush, slightly dilute the colour, and I will continue to do a few more of these little lines. So we'll take these up. We'll create some distant fields. I like to using this super point brush here. Pop a few little spots to represent a few trees and things. Just sort of weaving into the distant landscape. Like so. Quite effective. Now this is, I'm working very quick to get this thing finished, folks, so do stick around for the next sort of 10 minutes while we wrap this thing up. A few little spots and dots to represent distant fields and distant trees and bits and bobs. So it's a slightly diluted version of exactly the same colour is what we use in here. And you can see how we've got that depth. Now I'm looking forward to getting work in the bridge. This strong colour that we made here, which was the dark skin with the grey, and I remember there was a light skin as well, is 2 skin tones on the range. Nice dry brush, slightly spiky. You can see the spiky bristle there. What we're going to do here is we're going to go in and add little bits of extra shadowy areas on these edges. So this is quite a strong colour I'm using here. So I'm adding a bit of, it's not really shadows, it's more like a little bits of earth poking out the snow kind of thing. It's a great way to ground everything into your picture here. Nice high contrast texture coming through here, beautiful. On the edges of some of these little sort of bankings, I suppose. You can almost create edges. Maybe snow. Depends how much time you've got. This is very quick, this sort of demo here. So we're working at sort of lightning speed here for you. A little bit of work on the bridge, bit of texture on there before we add some real definite shadows. Of course, natural grey is the perfect colour for adding the shadow underneath the bridge. Come back a bit with the camera here so you can see where it's at. Shaping up quite nicely. So we'll get a lovely shadow under the bridge here with just natural grey on the brush. Under there. Bring that over. Leave that for the minute because I also want to add the same grey down here. To create the separation of the bridge. So a real strong there, rotate the board to make it more comfortable. So I'm basically doing the back of the bridge, the other side. The other side. I'm sure there used to be a TV series called The Other Side. It must have been. Bring that in. Clean the brush, a couple of taps on tissue, and we're going to use water to blend in that archway and also blend this out as well. So you should get that little bit of a depth thing going off here. And of course, I would expect to see a lovely little reflection of that coming over. You can see how it's starting to create little reflections and various things on the picture. That same grey with a dry brush would be really effective at doing some downward drops in your water. Get the brush nice and spiky. Beautiful. And of course a bit later we're going to have a tree, so I want to risk it and I'm going to reflect the tree now. Make sure we line it up. A bit of a reflection there, just to say it's there. And that real nice dark grey always looks lovely in your water, right on the edge. Little horizontal lines, just representing, get close in for you in that one so you can see where we're at. Little horizontal lines in your water, just to give a sense of a reflective feel. Rotate the board around. And then we'll do the same on this side. Horizontal lines on the edge to create that lovely sense of depth. Let's just bring in a few shadows on that bridge. While we're close into the bridge, we can do that. Of course we can. We can add a little bit of reflective detail. So if you imagine the little sort of like an archway that kind of runs across the top of the bridge. Well, in the palette we've got the grey here, which I'm going to slightly dilute a little bit. And then on the picture, you can see I've sketched in quite strongly the actual archway. So just using the grey, I'm going to sort of whiz around this. So if you watch the start of this little demo tutorial, you can actually get the sketch. You can screen grab. If you ask Google, that'll tell you how to do that. Different devices have different ways of capturing screenshots. So you can do the sketch basically if you want to have a go. It's a pretty straightforward little process, not too complex. And then a little bit under some of the snowy areas here would be quite nice as well. Just a few little flicks and things here and there. Clean brush and then water just to soften that out into the rest of the bridge. I'm going to pop some nice little lines of cracks. The joins between the stones would be quite nice in there as well. A few horizontal lines, and then using that same grey to add a few little stones. That's the skin tone that we used for the stonework, so pop that in. Pop some little horizontal lines of that skin tone just to give a little bit of character. Pop some in these areas. It just sort of warms things up a little bit, I always think. Makes the bridge look quite nice. Nice little kind of bridge. Looking forward to getting some final detail in this. The tree is going to go in next, and I want to use natural grey. Where's your light coming from? What we'll do is we'll pop the grey with the dark side of the tree. The dark side of the tree. That's a Pink Floyd cover band. What we'll do is we'll bring it in. All trees have dark sides. Just like people. And the wider the branch, the more grey you pop in, of course. So I'm using this super point brush here for this. So just adding a shadow side to the tree. Then I've actually got here the sort of mix of the skin tone and the grey together. So that would be good for doing the lighter side. Not too strong for that. Beautiful. What we'll do is bring that in. So I'm painting the other side of the tree, as it were. Now, if you think I'm rushing and working quick, I am, because I'm doing demo. I'm in demo mode, but if I'm doing workshop mode, I'm not working. You get lots of time to work, lots of recaps. And remember, these virtual workshops are yours to keep forever, so you can... It's all filmed in lovely, high quality HD. So you can see every mistake I make. And you can just watch it and enjoy it for eternity. So do check it out. So you can see I'm adding some little branches here. I'm just very simply using this super point brush. I mean, it's a size 6 brush, but it's got a super point, hence the name. So enjoy using them because they are really nice things to use. Lovely. Make sure things are nice and dark. Even just a bit of darkness on the edge of these fence posts here would be good. Going to paint in a gateway. As always, you've got to, haven't you? Just an old rustic gateway with a little bearded chuff perched on it. Real. Using natural grey. So I'm looking forward to getting some white in this. But what a difference it makes when all these little bits come together. And I want to breathe now a minute. I'm just going to sort of pause for breath a little bit. And what I want to do is I'm going to just have a little sort of look at the picture, look at the little kind of finishing bits I want to do. And I need to bring in detail. So what I want to be doing is actually using a different brush here. So I've got these things here, which are really lovely things to use. They're called Matthew Palmer Branch and Detail brushes. You can see them there. Really nice brushes for doing all that fine work. It's a rigger brush surrounded by a large body brush, which means you can actually sort of use it for doing really fine detail. Huge fan of these brushes, so I'm just going to give it a rinse in the water. Nice clean, and I want a real high level of sharpness now. So I'll get a clean piece of kitchen paper. Shouldn't leave brushes in water, but that one's a little bit manky. Not cleaned it very well. I want to use a good strong bit of grey, and I want to bring in a little bit of natural brown. We've not used it yet, but natural brown's very, when mixed with the grey, it goes really crisp. Rotate the brush through your fingers, drag it over the edge of your palette to get a nice point on your brush. Remove some of the excess, and what you've got here is a brush that is full of colour, and it will feed that lovely tip. That's the idea. So detail is where I'm at now, which means I'm using this thing for doing some real crisp sharpness. That's what I want to get out of this now, some nice deep colours on this tree. White paint's going to feature as well, so do stick around for that. So I'm really going for dark depth here, using that brush, using that nice pointy branching detail brush. Little bits of detail in the bridge. And once it's loaded up with colour, you don't need to be worrying about reloading it every few seconds like a normal rig brush, because the body of the brush is feeding the tip. So it's like a little old-fashioned fountain pen kind of thing. And you can see I'm using this in quite a crisp sort of fashion here to make some of the stonework on the bridge have a bit more clarity. As you can see there, so nice little bits of detail just sneaking in. So any kind of rigged brush would be great here. Little horizontal lines under your bridge always works well. Little bits of grasses poking out the snow. Extra fine branches on the tree, should you wish. Over here, this sort of old gateway. Looks like it's seen better days kind of thing. Just wants a little bit of depth in, a little bit of shadow in there. Just pottering basically. Little bits of winter foliage poking out the snow. It all helps. But what a difference it makes when you start to do these little bits of detail. It really does. Little rings. I mean, some people say use a pen here, but I mean, the downside to using a pen, of course, is the fact that you're sort of using the pure black on your picture, which is never great, really. A few little extra reflections here and there. On the bridge, it all works well. I'm looking forward to getting some white in this to finish it off in a second or two, so that'd be good. Nice tree. Happy with the tree. That looks really effective. These little fine wispy branches coming in. Really nice. And then just a few extra reflective lines in the water. Some downward drop. That always helps to give depth. Definitely wintry. Now let's just quickly mention white paint, because it's always difficult, white paint, getting the right colour, you know, a white that sticks around once it's dry. So I've got my own white paint, which is called natural white, and it's been developed in association with the SAA, and it's a colour it's a liquid white. I wanted to call it liquid white, but you know, the powers that be decided to call it white, unfortunately. But it's a colour that you can paint straight from the tube, and it really is a game changer in the whole white field, because that's how the picture's looking so far, by the way. So it's really coming together quite nicely, isn't it? It's a nice kind of effective scene here, and hopefully you've enjoyed it so far, folks. Do stick around for the little finishing touches, because that's where all the nice little bits of detail are going to be. And all these little bits that just kind of go in to finish the picture off are going to come next. So let's get over to the palette and get some white in. So I've got that piece of card that I used. Now I'll pop it on there so I don't get it mixed up. Beautiful, lovely liquid white. You don't need any water with that white, just basically just a little bit of dampness in your brush, and you make sure the brush is clean though. Load up that branching detail brush. Beautiful. There it is. And then white paint's going to feature quite heavily on this picture, in little bits like up the side of the fence posts. We'll add a few white bits in the branches, of course we will. Get a bit of snow on the tree. In some areas. Obviously some areas you won't see it because it's against the light background, but a little bit of white is quite useful, just to give a nice little effect to snow. But I really like how it just brightens the whole thing up, and like just like little spots of the white paint on this little bush here. Look. Make it look as though it's all covered in snow. A little bit down here, of course. Top of the bridge. There we go. Little bits in the brickwork as well. So you can see I'm really just sort of using this white. If you get close on the brush, you can see how it's literally blobbed on the brush. I mean, it really is pure. And it's the white that makes the difference, you know. Like I say, I set out today to do some kind of a landscape painting. I didn't know it was going to be snow until the weather decided for me. I am a fan of snow scenes. So, any excuse really, I suppose, for me. Brightens the whole thing up massively. There we go. So what a difference that makes, yeah? Bit of snow, bit of natural white or white paint. So white acrylic, white gouache. Nice quality white paint's what you need here, folks. Nice in the water too, as well, you know. A few horizontal lines in the water near the bridge. Get the light coming through. There we are. Now, if you like my style of painting, do make sure you check out Watercolour TV, folks. It's a great place to enjoy all things watercolour. It's 15 years worth of watercolour tuition with yours truly, and it's rammed with tutorials, and it's a membership based or a subscription based service, like a yearly fee, or you can pay like an annual fee. That's the same thing, isn't it? It's been a long day with the weather today. School's closing and all sorts around here at the minute, and you can do monthly. In fact, you know what, I want to show you. While that's having a second, here's the website, and basically if we have a look at this, you can see here is Watercolour TV. If you click on the membership page, you'll see all the information about joining Watercolour TV. There's monthly, annual, lifetime, and there's the gift membership as well, so do check it out, folks. Here's all the lessons that you get as a member of Watercolour TV. There's absolutely loads of them. There's hundreds of them available, so do have a look on the menu at the top of the screen and you'll see all of the different things that your Watercolour TV membership offers. It's great fun, just enjoy it. There's weekly watercolour lessons on there, there's tutorials on there. It's a really good thing to do. This painting's coming alive. Come alive. Can't sing, I'm sorry. If I could, I wish I could, but I can't. I'm loving the white, it's addictive. Bloody addictive, isn't it, eh? What a difference it makes putting the white paint on now. It just changes the whole thing. And of course, white paint, if it's watercolour, this white I'm using here is what we call fugitive. So if you think, it's a little bit, you know, a little bit too much white's gone in for me, you just basically wash it in, because it is, at the end of the day, it is quite easy to wash out this white paint, but it really changes the whole scene. Love it in the water, beautiful in the water, a few little horizontal lines in the water. And I want to just grab a little bit of white on the brush here, the size 6 brush, the Super Point. Have I cleaned it well enough? I have cleaned it well enough. A bit of white, slightly remove it on the tissue, because what I want to do in the background hills is pop a little bit of a highlight in the hills, just as though it's catching a bit of white on some of these edges. Just lightly skimming it in, a light skim of colour. If I dry the brush off massively, it's really easy to blend it. And even if it dries too much, just a bit of water, you can wash it in. It's such a nice colour to work with, natural white. It's like it just, I don't know, just the whole thing just has like a boost in contrast when you use white. Quite a fan of the stuff, really. So everything in the picture now that's got white on, I can just sort of soften in a little bit, and what it'll do is it'll calm down any harsh bits of white I'm not liking. So on the brickwork and things, make it look a little bit less aggressive. Love it. I've also got a craft knife here. Oh, have you? Yeah, I've got a craft knife here, and I want to use this just to pop some horizontal highlights in the water, especially through that archway. Take a look at this. Little horizontal lines in the archway. See them little bits there? Quite effective. And that's really, really good. Now, let's take a look at this thing. Let's pop it there, stick it there. And what we'll do is we'll pop a frame or a mount on this. This is a Quartz Imperial, this paper here. So it's made a lovely little watercolour, a wintry watercolour vignette, vinaigrette, whatever you want to call it. Nice signature, just probably over here, but I'll stick it there. And there we have a wintry watercolour to celebrate the fact that it's snowing outside. And it's the first time it's snowed here for a long time. So listen, thanks for sticking around, folks. I appreciate it. I really do. Hope you enjoyed it. And of course, I'll see you soon for more watercolour painting. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, do make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Loads of content on the YouTube channel. It really does make a difference hitting that subscribe and notification bell. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your time. Do have a little think about booking into one of my virtual watercolour workshops, and I'll see you soon. Take care.